Alright, welcome everybody. This is GTM here. This video tutorial is gonna cover basic Polygon modeling tools. And so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna model a dresser here. Now I'm gonna go ahead and launch up 3D Max. Now the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and put my reference image in my viewport to model off from. Now you always want to find good reference images, especially ones that are strictly orthographic, straight on. Don't get me wrong, if you have a reference image that you want to use of a model, or some kind of a model that you like, but you don't have the proper reference images that are orthographic, you can always go to your rendering, view image file, and then drop your reference image in there that you can look off. As you can see, this is not a straight orthographic view, but it's good reference to look at just in case you're kind of freeform modeling. But I always make sure that if you're starting off with my students, that you're always at least referencing off some kind of image. It's always good to get in the habit of doing that. Otherwise, your models, like I said, when you're first starting off modeling, they don't tend to come out too right. Like I said, it's just a good habit to get into. Okay, but just want to let you know you can place reference images within rendering viewport image file, or view image file, I'm sorry, right there. Alright, but I'm going to go ahead and close this out. I have a reference image that I've already prepped up. I took in the Photoshop and grayscaled out. So I'm going to go to Views, Viewport Background, which is Alt-B. I'm going to go to Background Source, and I'm going to look for that image. And I have it here. Here's my dresser. I'm going to open that up. Once you do that, go ahead and match bitmap and lock zoom pan. You want to make sure these are checked. I'm going to press OK. As you can see, we have our dresser. I'm going to hit my G key, to turn off my grid. And that's why we lock zoom pan, so we can kind of zoom in and out. And I'm going to hit Alt W. Now, the reason I've always had you guys hit your preferences and your configure driver, these settings set to the highest, linear 1024 512, of course I like my enable and anti-alias lines, is so that when we have our reference images, they stay as clear as possible without losing quality. Alright, and that's why we always do that. Alright, well, we're going to go ahead and start here. I'm going to go ahead and lay down a box here. Now remember, we're using 2011, so your 2010 interface, not interface, but your tools might look a little different when you do your pop-up dialog boxes, but don't worry, you should easily kind of adapt. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and lay down a box. It doesn't matter what size. I'm going to raise it up, and I'm going to hit F4 just so I can see my edges. Now I always prep up my model, so I'm going to hit M. I'm going to click on a shader, just drag it. Now these are known as shaders. I'm going to just drag it right there so it turns gray. I'm going to turn that off. And notice my edges are the same color what the original box was. So I'm going to actually click that, go to my swatch here, and just turn on black edges. And now we have black edges. Now the next thing I'm going to do is actually click on my object, and I'm going to middle mouse to activate the front viewport. I'm just going to drag that down to match the drawing here, or the reference. And if you want to zoom up, just hit Z and it frames up on everything. And I'm going to kind of like tuck that just right there. Alright, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and convert this to a poly. A couple ways we can do it. You can right click, convert to editable poly right there, or you can for example, go from the if you click on the object itself, you can right click editable poly. Alright, and as you can see in our earlier lesson plan, I kind of gave a breakdown on your vertex, edges, borders, polygons, and elements. Alright, so I'm going to go to my vertex mode here, and I'm going to grab these vertexes. I'm just going to highlight through, and I'm just kind of pulling that out. I'll grab it from here. I'm going to match the image here. Now as you can see from our perspective view, it looks pretty skinny here, like almost looks like a 2x4 board, a flat board. We don't have side references of our, of our dresser, so I'm gonna kind of take a wild guess here and I'm gonna grab these verts and just somewhat pull them back. I'm assuming the dresser is about that big in width. And as you can see, our grid here, I'm just going to turn that off by hitting G. Z up on everything again. And then from my front viewport, I'm going to just highlight these verts. And I'm going to raise them up a bit. Maybe grab these and just kind of pull them out. As you can see, I'm hitting my middle mouse to pan back and forth. Alright, I'm going to Z up again. Just let me click off it and I'm going to Z up again. Alright, the next step is I'm going to introduce you to some Polygon tools. Now, when I use these, you're going to notice the box may look a little different from 2011, your settings, so, otherwise you probably just have to get used to it. It shouldn't be easy. It shouldn't be too hard to adapt, I should say. Alright, I'm going to click on my Polygon. I'm in Polygon mode. I'm going to hit Alt-W so you can see what's going on. And I'm going to go ahead and inset this tool right here. And when you use your tools when you're first starting off, I want you using these little boxes right beside it. So I'm going to hit inset. And as you can see, I got this little box, or these little settings that pop right up. In the old, at least in 2010, there used to be a dialog box that popped up. So you kind of have to get used to this. Now you have different kind of settings. You got group and by polygons. And then of course you got this the increments amounts you want to inset it. So as you can see, if I click and hold it down, you can see I'm insetting a new poly. And I'm just going to slightly just drag it, holding down my mouse and manually dragging it like that. And then I'm going to press OK, or I'm going to check that. Alright, so what I'm doing is creating an inset, because if you look at the base, it looks like it insets a bit, and then we're going to go straight up. Alright, with this poly still being selected, I'm going to hit extrude right here. Now also remember, if you right click on your object, you have the options here as well. So I can click here and those options come right up. And I'm going to Alt W so you can see that the polygon is extruding up, or we can extrude in. But in this case, we're going to extrude up. Now from here, I still have my tool set, so I'm in my front viewport, and I'm going to actually extrude that up to match right here. Now don't get me wrong, I could have just easily, here I'll cancel so you can see what I'm doing. And this is going to remember my last setting, so imagine if it was just down here, partially. You can easily just hit OK. And with that poly still selected, or if I deselect it, now with that poly still selected, I can go to my front viewport and just manually drag it up there if I wanted to. Alright, the next step is we're going to create this portion of the dresser. Here, I'm going to raise that up just slightly a little bit more. Alright, I'm going to introduce you to a new tool. I'm going to hit Alt-W to maximize, and I'm just kind of walking around. I'm going to go to Edge mode. So I'm going to click on my edges. I'm going to grab that edge right there. And if you use your ring tool, notice it rings it all the way around. So I got all my edges. Now I could easily hit my edge, then hold down Control like that, and then walk around my model, holding down Control and grabbing those. But sometimes that can get tedious. And as you get used to modeling, you'll be able to just either click your edge and ring it, or like I said, if you're really used to modeling, just highlight right through and you grab your edges. You just always want to walk through or walk around to make sure you didn't grab edges that you weren't supposed to. For example, a lot of people starting off might highlight all the way through and thinking they grab their edges, but they grab their top edges, and you don't want that to happen, because a lot of odd things will happen when you start extruding your tools or using your chamfer tools and so forth. Alright, so in this case, what we're going to do is I'm going to hit edge just so you can get used to using these tools. I'm going to ring it, and I'm going Alt-W so you can see what's going on. I'm going to hit connect. What that does is connect an edge across any two edges that were basically parallel. So I'm going to go ahead and raise that up to match that right about there, and then I'm just going to hit OK. And now you can see we have some new geometry to work with. Now what we're going to do is hit Alt W. I'm going to create that little portion that sticks out. I'm going to hit Alt W again. Now if I grab this edge and ring it, if I hold down my control key, see these tools right here? I can easily click that and now it grabs those polys. So it converted the edges to the polys. Or, you know, if I wanted to, I can sit here and grab my polygon. I'm in polygon mode, holding down control, and so forth. Now, of course, this model is pretty simple, so we can easily do that. But imagine if it was a complex model where you had to do a lot of faces. So the best thing to do is probably get in the habit of clicking on your edge, ringing it so it rings all the way around, hold down control and just click that. And now with those selected, I'm going to hit extrude. So I'm using that tool right there, extrude, hit the box, and as you can see, it extrudes off the wrong axis here. So if I switch that from group to local, it extrudes it on its local axis. So I'm just going to extrude it out just a bit so it, you know, creates that little lip, or that edge I should say. That looks pretty good, and I'm just going to hit OK. Alright, next thing is we're going to build this all the way up to the top now. So I'm going to grab my polygon here, I'm going to extrude it out, hit the settings, and as you can see, it kind of extrudes it out. I can actually click and drag this, or if I'm just happy with it, I can hit OK, and with those polys still selected, I'm just going to raise that right up there. And I'm going to zoom up so you can see what's going on. Zoom it up right there. Now the next step for me to do, with those polys still selected, and you can see my front viewport, what I'm about to do now, I'm going to use my bevel tool. I'm going to click that, and what that does is it's going to give me two options. I can bevel it in and out, as you can see, and I'm going to bevel that out a little bit, and then I'm going to actually go to the next one here and raise up the height. So you got something like that. Alright, that's pretty close enough what we want, and then I'm just going to hit OK. So I'm Alt W. So far we got the base of our dresser. Alright, the next step is I'm going to go ahead and Alt W out. Alright, we're going to kind of study our image here. I'm going to go to my front viewport and Alt W. Alright, the next thing I'm going to do is, you know, I could model some certain details before I get into cutting in the drawers out. What I want to show you is what we're looking at right now is just a base model, and this could work as a low poly model. But just so I can introduce you to more tools, I'm going to zoom up right onto the edge here. I'm going to go to edge mode. I'm going to click that edge. I'm going to loop it so it loops all the way around, and I'm going to zoom in really tight so you can see what's going on. Use my magnifying, I'm going to kind of zoom in there. Now that's an edge right there. Now if I use this tool called chamfer, this is going to split the edge or round it off. So I'm going to hit that, and as you can see on my tools here, if I click my chamfer, I can add more chamfers to round it off. Sometimes it's good just to do one. Now, or I can, you know, actually spread out the chamfer amount. This is kind of new. This is a little bit different from what I'm normally used to. But I just want to let you know you can round off your chamfers. And I'm going to go about 3. So I just want to round that off a bit and press OK. That's going to give me, I'm going to have to get used to that compared to like the earlier versions. Alright, so I'm going to come up here and probably chamfer and round off, you know, the lip right here, or whatever the edge that kind of sticks out. So I'm going to grab one edge, hold down control, the opposite edge. Alright. I'm going to zoom in so you can see what's going on. Alright, I'm going to loop that using my loop tool, so it loops all the way around, and then I'm going to hit chamfer, and that remembers my last setting, so I got a pretty nice looking rounded off edge. I'm going to press check OK. Alright, let's go ahead and work on the details a little bit. So I'm going to Alt W. Now what we're going to do is cut in our drawers, our details. So I'm making sure I'm in the front. Alright, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom up here at the bottom of the dresser so you can see what's going on. And then right here, I'm going to zoom up just a bit there. Alright, so I'm going on edge. I'm going to my move tool here. I'm in edge mode. I'm going to select just edge and this edge. Now I'm studying this front viewport. So I got a line across here and a line across there. Another one here, another one there. So there's probably I need about 4. Let's see, I got 1, 2, 3. I'm going to need 4. So I'm going to connect with those 2 edges just selected. I didn't ring it. I just got the front 2 edges. I'm going to hit connect. And then I'm going to actually click here, and I could probably go 4, not 14. Let me go 1, 2, 4, just like that. Alright? Let me move this off to the side so you can see. And I'm going to hit OK. So now I have 4 edges there. And with those edges, I'm going to grab each one separately. I'm going to grab one edge here. And, in my front viewport on the y-axis, I'm just going to move that down to match right there. I'm going to take this edge. I'm going to match it to that line. And this one matches to that line. And then right here, I'm matching that right about right there. Now the trick is I got to take care of these edges. There's some going down. There's 4 going down across. So what I'm going to do is actually select that edge, this edge, holding control, that edge, and that edge. So I got those 4 edges. Now I'm going to connect. And what's going to happen, since I got them parallel, they're going to connect down. As to where we had these 2 earlier on the side, and they connected across. So I'm going to hit connect. Now I got 4 here, and I'm just going to kind of, you can pinch them, or you can actually slide them across a little bit just to even them out. It doesn't matter because you're going to manually grab these. Alright, I'm going to hit OK. Alright, so in this case, I can't just hit an edge and expect it to grab it, because if I do it, it's going to kind of, mess it up there. So what I'm going to do is hit Control W there, or Control Z, I'm sorry. I'm going to grab this edge, hold down Control. Oops, not yet. Yeah, I'm going to grab this edge. I'm going to loop it down. So it just loops it all the way down. And then I'm going to move it over here. I'm going to grab this edge. I'm going to loop it all the way down. I'm going to go over here. Line it up to the reference image. Here, I'll go Alt W so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to grab this edge, loop it, and just drag it over here. Alright, I'm going to grab this edge, loop it, drag it over there. That looks pretty close. Alright, now from there, as you can see, I have somewhat the dresser set up ready to be extruded out. So what we're going to do now is give the illusion that there's some dresser drawers in there and cabinet doors. So I'm actually going to take my polygons. I'm in polygon mode. I'm going to select one poly, select this one, and this one. Now with the same tool we used earlier called inset, actually before inset, I'm going to extrude in. So we got extrude, but this is going outwards. So if you notice, here, I'm going to move this over here. It's going outwards, so I'm going to bring this in slightly. Oops, not that much. Just slightly. If it helps, you can just manually, once you got them, you can actually, whoops, if you got them, you can just hit OK, and then manually kind of position them, if you want to go further in or not, but I'm just going to slightly go right there. Alright, now, from there I'm going to hit inset. what's that what's that doing is it's putting another polygon. See how it insets it in, but just slightly. I don't want much. All right, like if you zoom in really close, you can see I just slightly insetted it in. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to check OK. Then I'm going to extrude back out. So I'm going to take this, click, and bring it back out a bit. Just like that. And then I'm going to press OK. So what I did was give the illusion that there's grooves on my dresser. Now what I'm going to also do is give a little detail. I'm going to round these off a bit. So I'm going to actually grab this poly, this poly, this poly, and this poly by holding down Control. I'll do that again. Holding down Control and grab multiple polys. I'm zooming out so you can see what I'm grabbing. Alright, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to inset these all at once, just a little bit. I'm going to hit my setting, inset, and I'm just going to kind of click and drag them in just a bit. Like, these are unnecessary details I'm adding. I just want to let you know you have the ability to do them. So I'm going to grab this edge. Oops, let me go to edge mode. I'm going to grab this edge, that edge, that edge, that edge. I'm going to loop them. Just like that. And then use my chamfer tool, which it remembers the old settings. So now I basically just rounded off those dresser drawers. And then I'm going to hit OK. Alright, so I'm going to zoom in just so you can see what's going on. Alright. I'm going to hit Alt W. Alright, the next step is we got to build the front of the top of the cabinet.